Raphael belloli. From rejection and threats, almost lost his leg, to a Ballon d'Or nominee, from begging for food in the streets, to becoming a player who receives €100 million contracts. How did Rafa manage to stay consistent despite facing so much rejection? In Porto Alegre, Raphinha was born and took his first breath. From a Brazilian mom and Italian dad, who was a musician in the Sampa music squad. Like every Brazilian kid, his childhood passion was football. He loved watching the Premier League and was especially impressed by Thierry Henry and the huge crowds that filled the stadiums. At the age of 7, Raphinha had a chance to attend to Ronaldinho's birthday, since his dad is a member of the Sampa squad that is singing in his birthday, and he managed to get a photo with him. Ronaldinho that year just transferred to Barcelona, and he was an icon for football with his skills and playmaking. And Raphinha said that he took him with his hands and showed him his house and how he was gentle with him. Since then, Raphinha knew that football is the way to escape poverty and save his family. So he started applying for academy tests, looking for a contract to make a living out of it and become pro. But as a kid living on a poor street outside the city, it was tough for him. He had to travel 6 hours to reach the city, and the cost of playing games was expensive to them. Most of the time after matches, he didn't even have money for food, so he would beg people to feed him. Some of them help him, and others call him beggar. And his journey continued, trying to find a contract, since coaches don't see him like that. Brazilian that dribble past 5 defenders and scoring bangers. It was hard for him, and most of his tests, he gets hardly rejected. So he end up in alvarecia. Alvarecia is a slang used to describe the ones who got rejected like Raphinha, and they end up playing in the countryside tournaments, hosted by the local community. To participate, you don't need a contract. It's just a random tournament where anyone from the locals can participate. So that means that every game, the stadium that is just dust and clay, is surrounded by mafia and drug dealers, and it's normal to hear gunshots when a goal is scored. And that experience is what taught Raphinha to handle stress early on from young age. People there play aggressively like their life depends on that game. Time passed, and Raphinha played there until he was 18. After so many rejections, Raphinha still believed that there is a chance, and he managed to join a youth's academy named Imbituba. He was performing so well compared to others that he delivered a masterclass in one game, catching the attention of Avai's youth sector director, Diego Fernandez, who then invited him to join Avai's under-20 team. Things were going well for Raphinha. He had started training with the team and was showing great potential, despite the difficulty of traveling long distances to make it to practice. But everything changed when he got injured during a training session. He lost his spot on the team and was told to train alone. Even then, he still didn't receive a contract. Traveling from game to game and from home to training became increasingly hard and expensive. At one point, he nearly lost hope, especially as he watched some of his old friends making money through crime and drug dealing. The thought of taking that path crossed his mind, but he was fortunate to have his mother in his life. She worked more than 9 different jobs to support him. It was a constant example of perseverance. After recovering from his injury, Diego Fernandez eventually added him to the squad for the São Paulo Youth Cup. Raphinha delivered an outstanding performance, showcasing his skill, creativity, and flair on the pitch. Among the spectators in the stands was Deco, the Portuguese football legend of Brazilian origin. Impressed by what he saw, Deco immediately recognized Raphinha's potential. Deco was so impressed that he convinced Raphinha to sign with his player agency. He promised him what every Brazilian footballer dreams of, a chance to play in Europe. In the winter transfer window of 2016, Vitoria de Guimarães signed Raphinha for a transfer fee of €600,000, officially bringing him to Europe. From the very first impression of the head coach, Vitor Campelos, and his staff, they knew that Raphinha was something special. Raphinha didn't take long to build strong chemistry with the team, thanks in part to the shared language. This allowed him to communicate easily with his teammates and coaching staff. Coaches tested him in every attacking position, and he performed well in all of them. It took him only 6 months to move from the B team to the first team. He began playing regularly with the squad for 2 seasons, 2017 and 18. Over those 2 seasons, he scored 22 goals and provided 13 assists in 85 appearances. His second season was especially impressive, earning him the Vitoria de Guimarães Player of the Year award. Such performances attracted attention from bigger clubs across Europe, eager to sign this rising star. At the start of the 2018 season, Raphinha received a message from the Sporting Lisbon captain, Bruno Fernandes, saying he couldn't wait to play alongside him. When Sporting Lisbon signed Raphinha in a €6 million deal, things started going well. He quickly formed a strong partnership with the captain, Bruno Fernandes, and the duo played a key role in dominating the Portuguese league. Raphinha had an impressive start to the season, but unfortunately, he suffered an injury that kept him out of several matches. This injury affected his performance for the rest of the season. He played only 24 games that year, scoring 4 goals and providing 4 assists. Despite his injury struggles, he was part of the team that won 2 national titles that season, the Portuguese Cup. Impressed by Raphinha's performances and potential, Stade Rennais set their sights on bringing him into their squad, hoping he would be the missing piece to help them qualify for the UEFA Champions League. Stade Rennais secured Raphinha's signature for a transfer fee of €21 million, and the Brazilian winger was excited to join one of Europe's top 5 leagues. He began the 2019 season as a shining star in the starting lineup, playing alongside rising talents like Eduardo Camavinga and Edouard Mendy. Raphinha quickly made his mark in League One, recording 8 goals and 7 assists, and played a key role in helping the club achieve their season objective, finishing 3rd in the league and qualifying for the UEFA Champions League. The Brazilian star soon caught the attention of Marcelo Bielsa, the newly promoted Leeds United head coach, after the club returned to the Premier League for the first time since 2004. Bielsa saw Raphinha as the ideal fit for his system and convinced him to become Leeds' main left winger. The club submitted a €19 million offer for Raphinha. The decision wasn't easy. He had to choose between playing in the Champions League for the first time in his career or joining the league he had dreamed of since childhood. After much reflection and encouragement from his former teammate Bruno Fernandes, who was shining at Manchester United, and assured him that his style was perfect for English football, Raphinha made his choice and signed for Leeds United. But unfortunately, Raphinha's Premier League debut coincided with the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when stadiums were empty. The lack of crowd support and excitement made games feel dull, and there were growing concerns about whether Raphinha could build chemistry with his teammates in these conditions. However, those doubts faded as the season began. Marcelo Bielsa quickly realized that the key to unlocking Raphinha's potential was to give him freedom on the pitch. Once unshackled, Raphinha lit up the league, a true beast on the wing, dazzling fans with his flair. By October, his form was impossible to ignore, and he earned a long-awaited call-up to the Brazilian national team. But just as things were going perfectly, disaster struck. Fernandinho tackled Raphinha with a rough challenge. The Brazilian thought it was nothing serious. After all, he was used to aggressive football from his early days in Brazil and continued playing. After the game, though, his leg pumped twice its size, and the pain became unbearable. At the hospital, doctors discovered internal damage and insisted on surgery to remove 200 milliliters of blood from his leg. They warned that his season was over. But Raphinha refused to end it that way. He returned just in time for the final match of the season against Tottenham, helping Leeds secure a win. He closed his first Premier League with an impressive 7 goals and 9 assists. By the next season and the return of the crowd, his coach unlocked his full potential, and that's what made Raphinha a pure Brazilian in his skills. He performed so well and was one of the best wingers in the Premier League. And with this performance, everyone said that any big team was after his talent, but things weren't going well. Even though the attack was doing great, the defense was the second worst in the league, conceding 79 goals that season. That's what put the club in a bad spot by the last game of the season, sitting in 18th place with 35 points, equal to Burnley, who also had 35 points. Were set to play against Newcastle at their stadium, while Leeds would face Brentford away in the final leg of the season. Leeds had a hard challenge. They had to win their game, and Burnley had to lose. Raphinha promised the fans he would do everything he could to save the club and stay in the Premier League. Both games started. Raphinha was doing well, and after many chances, Leeds scored the opener, but the goal was cancelled for offside, and the first half ended. Meanwhile, Newcastle was winning 1-0. Leeds started the second half, and Raphinha continued showing a high level of performance. He managed to get a penalty and scored it.
Raphinha!
Which timed with the second goal for Newcastle. Things weren't that easy. Burnley scored their first goal, and Brentford equalized. Things weren't going well for Leeds, but everything changed after Raphinha managed to get a Brentford player sent off with a red card. It was the 90th minute in both games. Leeds earned a corner. Raphinha crossed it in, and it came to Harrison. He shot and scored, putting Leeds minutes away from survival. Leeds managed to stay in the Premier League. Raphinha went and celebrated with the crowd, the reason he had always wanted to play in the Premier League. Just like he promised, he walked on his knees after the game, making good on the best promise he ever made, and the rest is history.